Now, if there's something I struggled in the past and people I know is not being able and dwelling on someone that really wasn't in our lives and that, they were there for a small amount of time and honestly, they didn't give us the time of day, but we felt in us that it was probably the one and it was probably someone that was super important in our life just because of how little they stayed and how attached we got. And I think that this is like a really important video in a sense of like, you know, you need to understand that being attached to someone that you were never with and that doesn't even care about you is probably one of the worst things to think about because you're thinking about someone that didn't give you that time of day and didn't give you that energy and that you know in your mind you have this perception creative of a person that you wish because you didn't get the chance to know them. You thought that it could have been good, and so you give yourself scenarios in your head. And honestly, that's what I did for months and close to a year, in a sense of like, there's this person I went out with really not long after a certain situation, and obviously it wasn't the right time to go out, in my opinion. At the time, it was kind of more of a rebound situation, and I was talking to this person, and I thought things were really good. We got a lot of things that we could relate to, and because we could relate to that one thing that to me back then was really important, it put everything high on that pedestal. It put her way above whatever the fuck I was thinking. Even if her energy wasn't even matching mine, like already, because of that one thing, to me that was the lust, that was love, in the sense of like, holy shit, like this is what I want. And so obviously I'm blinded by being attached to someone because in the sense of like I feel like I could relate, and things didn't work out. Obviously it's not like I kept texting them. Obviously I learned my lesson by, getting ghosted, being left undelivered, and that was the first time it happened. That's a separate thing. I've already made a video about that. But either way, that because of how interested you were and how interested I was like into this person, obviously your perception is completely the same as it was because of how blinded you were by the amount of lust, love, and affection you have for this person. And that's the issue, and that's the problem. It's because of how we things could have been hit off really good at the beginning. It doesn't mean that in the long run it would have even been worth it. Now, what I mean by that is, you know, I made a video and it was about how when you first meet someone, they wear a mask. Now, this mask is the mask they put for first impression. Everyone has a mask when they meet someone for the first time, whether it's a relationship, whether you meet someone as your friend, and anything. And what this mask is supposed to be is a first impression. And you always wear a mask either at a job interview, at your job, when you're with your girlfriend, when you're with your friends, depending on the people you're with in the group. And this mask, what it does, it's supposed to make you look good. Okay, because again, first impressions matter. So you could be, I'm not saying that people always have a mask and then the minute they take it off, they're assholes and they're the rudest people, the meanest. No, it just means in the sense of like, obviously, it's a fact that people are going to exaggerate who they are almost as a person when you first meet people, because you want people to like you, and that's a thing. You want people to like you, want people to respect you. Now, this goes in the sense of like when you're interested in someone and you meet them for the first time, they don't know if they're interested in you yet. Let's just say you go out on a date and you talk to them. They're going to put on the mask. They're going to say things that you might like. And by the end of the date, most of the time, girls are going to make up their decisions and they're going to be like, oh, okay, like I'm not into this guy anymore. So I'm just going to, you know, either ghost them, block them, whatever. But to you, you thought it went great. You thought it went amazing. And then the minute that you get back, you're like, oh, like that was amazing. And you're in lust. You're thinking about all that shit. And because things ended off on your end, you like as you thought on a good note, you're not able to ignore the fact that, this person didn't really like who you were and weren't interested. And sometimes it's because they're just not the person you're looking for, and that's fine. But also sometimes people are just like, it's not a thing about being disrespectful. Some people get disrespected, and I want to talk about more about that in the sense of like, sometimes people aren't interested in you, and then just you got to accept it. But it also applies with when people don't respect you, because think about it. Why are you attached to someone that, yes, you had those relatable things, it gave you a reason to maybe in the future, but you can't base it off one, two, three, and even four dates, because that perception is still there. You know, there's no such thing as being on a date for 8 hours. Okay, that's my saying. And a date doesn't last longer than 2 to 3 hours, and it shouldn't even be more than 2 hours. So you're only having that period of time with that person, depending on how many times you see them in a week. It gives them enough time to, or not enough time. It gives them enough in a sense of like to not be, their true intentions or their true colors, and because they're being nice or they're trying to impress you, whatnot. You got to understand that the reason why things didn't last, or the reason why things didn't work out, is because they took off their mask from behind the scenes and they made that decision. And what I mean by that is they're like, they were acting like they're interested in you on the date, and then the minute, after the date, they block you, they ghost you. That's their true colors right there. And that's the thing. Why are you attached to someone that doesn't respect you? Why are you attached to someone that doesn't want to give you the time of day? And it's hard to just be like, yeah, I know, but listen, why do you want to put yourself in a situation where already you thought things were going well and she was laughing, she thought your shit was funny, and she ghosted you? Like, why should you? You gave it your shot and she acted interested, or she was attached into you, or you thought so. So now you need to find someone that needs to match your energy and wants to be with you, because if anything, they could have been lying about who they were. They could have been just lying about what they actually like to get you to, like them, or just get the day going, or get the, just to pass the date so they don't have to go out with you again. They're not giving you that time of day and that satisfaction. Why should you be in love, and why should you be attached with someone that doesn't even respect you? And respect is about every relationship. I've been in relationships where I was completely disrespected, and I stayed in them for longer than I should have. And the fact that, you're on a date and she's not respecting you afterwards or even during the date, that is a great sign to tell you, like, hey, bro, that is not going to work out, and you're saving yourself if you don't fucking go out, with this person anymore. And I think that that's something that we all ignore, in a sense of like, because again, lust and the idea of someone being so perfect is we're giving a misconception of a person in our minds that make no sense. And you need to understand that people, again, especially when you know them for a short amount of time, are always going to wear a mask. And I'm going to emphasize it because it's important to think, because I was in a situation for, I think it almost lasted like almost to a point where it was close to being years, because I couldn't accept, I in my head I was like, things could have been better. Things could have changed. Things still have a chance. And quite honestly, it can't. And that's also a thing about letting go, is that you need to let go of that idea, because that idea is a false reality and a false narrative that you're telling yourself in your head because of how you want things to happen. It's not going to happen, because quite honestly, that person just isn't into you and doesn't respect you. So why should you go back, or why should you try to rekindle something that, isn't going to work out again, and you're going to go in a loophole? But I don't want to sound like I'm rambling too much. I hope this video makes sense, and if there's anything I could have talked about this topic, please let me know in the comments. And it's been Fellow. Stay smart.